success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the Hitstreak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, I got another extra special treat for you joining me in the Hit Lab today. And we got a lot of really important stuff to talk about, including an event happening in Las Vegas on March 1st and 2nd of this year. Folks, he's the guest of episode 88. He is the founder at Reprogram.ai. He's a coach. He's a speaker. He's my buddy. He's my pal. He's my friend. Somebody I learned a lot from. He's back. Nick Alfano. Nick, brother, welcome back, man.
Ooh, thanks for having me, man. I'm trying to figure out how I can match that energy. But yeah, thanks for having me back. It's been a minute, but we've done a lot of things off camera that they haven't seen yet. And so yeah, I'm excited to talk a little bit about that today.
Well, dude, you got is it your first event of 2024 happening in Las Vegas on March 1st and 2nd?
Yep, first one of the year. We do sometimes 3 to 4 a year, just depending on. But yeah, this is the very first one, just right before you ease into the end of quarter one. So March 1st and 2nd, Las Vegas, actually at your good buddy, now my good buddy Bradley's personal studio. So
that's right at the Lightspeed HQ in Vegas, and this is EV12. Yes,
12. Yep.
EV12. All right, dude. We got to get right into this stuff, man, because every year about this time, beginning of the year, everybody's going to make change. Some of them call them resolutions. Everybody's got the best of intentions, right? But intentions ain't all that gets it done. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk a little bit about how your event in Vegas and your program overall really get into that. There's a lot of fellas out there that need you, man. And I want to make sure that they hear this message today, right?
Yeah. So, funny enough, EV, I get a lot of people that think they know what EV stands for. Some people obviously think event. It's just short for that. I've heard people say extreme value. I've heard enterprise value. I've heard all kinds of things. But those that have been and those that have done enough homework on this whole movement, it's actually Latin. It's an acronym. It stands for Exposito Veritas, which is exposing your truth. So the difference between this event among a million differences and the rest of the stuff that's out there, some of the white noise, is exactly that. When you come to this event, number one, I can promise you this: it will be a top 5 core memory for the rest of your entire life. I don't care if you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40, 50 years old. If you come and experience this 2.5 days or this 2 days on this one, nothing will ever be the same. You can't actually unlearn and unsee and unhear the stuff that you're going to experience. So yeah, Exposito Veritas, come. Sometimes I scare people away when I say that because people are kind of frightened to expose their truth. But we have done very well to curate an experience and create an environment where it allows you to actually just be brutally honest with where you're at, where you're stuck, which is tough for most men, and then where do you want to go so we can help you get there.
You know what I hear when I hear you talk about exposing your truth? When you truly accept your truth, to me, that the word that comes to mind is freedom, because that's what I felt. You know what I mean? Because if you're not living out your truth, you're kind of hiding from it, right? Mm-hmm. And that takes a lot more effort.
A lot of effort.
Than actually just living out your truth and fixing whatever it is that you're hiding from.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So let's talk about a little bit about, this is EV12. So there's been 11 other ones. Yep. You guys, some of the stuff that you're doing with these guys is absolutely incredible. And it's way different. Folks, you got to check out episode 88. We've told his story. We've told about where all this came from. Today, we're talking about the future and how that you can be a part of this future, right?
Yeah, so to your point, episode 88 is my entire backstory, which is awesome, but we're moving from the past to the future now, and this is really to your point, it's our 12th one. I wouldn't say we've got it perfect because it's always evolving like anything should be, but I can tell you that, jump on the site and check the testimonials. 100% of the people that have experienced this event have used the words life-changing. 100%, not 80, not 70, not 60. So, and you can actually speak to all of them. One thing we're pretty weird about, I think, but I think everyone should do it this way, is if there's a testimonial on my site, You can read the text or listen to the video, but you can actually reach out and talk to the guy. He's a real human being, and he'll tell you everything you want to know about anything. So I think that's like the next level of testimonials. And so I encourage everybody to just go check those out.
Folks, if you want to check out the event, he's making it really easy for you. Literally, like his whole brand's website up to this event is at the URL reprogram.ai. That's literally the event and the event alone. It's where you can register. It's where you can read all about it. You can check out the speaker panel. You got a killer speaker panel this year. I'm partial to one for sure. But who you got, man? Let's talk about it.
So we actually, obviously, we landed Brad because we're in Brad's backyard. So that's a massive one. I know he's a big draw. He's got, about 1 million people downloading his podcast a month. So that's insane. So Bradley's going to be there. Nick Long's going to be there, who's been to a few EVs. Some of you may recognize him. He's huge in the M&A space and helping people basically ultimately scale and sell their companies. So if you want to talk about an 8 and 9 figure guy who can really collapse time for you, if you're even thinking about what it would be like to sell your company. Maybe you've never asked yourself that question, so that's crucial. We've got my man Nick Hyder coming to speak, which is maybe the guest you're partial to, or maybe it was Long or Bradley. But yeah, so Hyder's going to be out there doing his thing, and realistically, what he's been able to do with my group, again, behind the scenes, the stuff you guys haven't seen, is he's really accelerated everybody from a brand accelerator level, which is crucial for their personal brand, but he's bringing some new stuff and some unique stuff to the stage, so you have to come see what he's bringing. Of course, I'll be speaking. I've got several coaches that are going to facilitate the entire experience, because again, I can't stress this enough. This is not, I hate the word mastermind. This is not some hoorah, walk on hot coals, Tony Robbins, and I love the dude, right? He's one of the GOATs in this space. This isn't a come, feel good, and go home and it all washes off right away. This is an experience, not an event, and it will change your entire trajectory, not only of 24, but of the rest of your life. And I can 100% guarantee, if you don't walk up to me and say that at the end of the event, I'll give you your money back.
Now check it out, folks. This is a limited seating event, right? So the 60 seats total, correct?
Yep, 60 total. Technically one of our larger events, but still I have you can't automate intimacy, and you can't, once the crowd gets too big, it really dilutes everyone's personal experience.
Yeah.
So as much as I understand the concept of these 500 to 2,000 people, again, hoorah events, this is unique. I will know your first and last name. I will know your wife's name. I will know your children's name before you leave this thing. And most importantly, I will know, because you will know, your truth.
I heard one time that love grows best in little houses.
Oof.
You know what I mean? I think it was a country song.
We're in Nashville. Makes sense.
That's right. So out of those 60 seats, you've got 8 VIP seats, right? 8 only.
Yeah, just 8. So the way Brad's studio's set up, it's basically rows of 8. And so the first front 8 seats. And oh, by the way, if you haven't seen it, I'll throw some more stuff on the site. We're talking reclinable, Barca Lounger style. This will be... it's interesting because you'll be super comfortable, but then I'm going to get you super uncomfortable real quick. So front row, limited to 8. This is going to include cigars and steaks with Brad and all the speakers, including myself, Long, Hyder, and we're maybe working on one more. We'll let you know. But yeah, it's going to be a complete VIP experience. I can't give away all the details, but it'll be well worth it.
That's absolutely. And I want to make sure, so there's, everybody's probably thinking, maybe this is for me, right? So let's make sure they understand who your audience is that you're speaking to, right? So out of all the people that are hearing us talk about this right now, who is the person, who's the avatar that we're talking to, Nick? Yeah,
so I've been on my personal journey for about 5 years. And number one, I'll caveat with this. We only work with men. So sorry, women, I apologize. We do work with the spouses of the men. So if you got a guy that's off track a little bit, send him our way. It happens actually more often than you think. The wives will push their men to this event. But realistically, and you hit this earlier in what we just talked about, the word that most people have signed up for when they went into the entrepreneurial space. So we work with male entrepreneurs. Let's just go ahead and check those 2 boxes. If you're a man that owns a business, you should be listening. You got into business for one word and one word only, and we've polled now 54,000 men. 54,000 men, the number one word that came up, freedom. That's why you did this. You stepped out of the 9 to 5 to find freedom. Freedom of time, right? Freedom financially. And a lot of you, freedom of choice, right? You get to decide. When you wake up today, you get to say, what do I want to do today? Not what do I have to do, right? There's nobody micromanaging me anymore, or so you thought. So the craziest thing is when we interview all these guys, we say, why on earth did you sign up for this crazy thing called entrepreneurship? They all stem back to the one word exercise with the word freedom. So my question to you is this: if you're listening to this right now, have you found it? Have you found any version, any semblance of freedom as a result? Because what we've seen, and I've worked with entrepreneurs now for several years, I've built a few 8-figure things myself. 99% of male entrepreneurs, or just men in business that set out for freedom, have actually imprisoned themselves in that very thing that they set out to build. So what do I mean by that? I call it golden handcuffs. There's a million ways we can dance around this, but the reality is this: most of you never get to turn off. Like, we all make fun of, or I won't cuss, so we talk shiz about the 9-to-5ers because we left that rat race. Like, oh, you're still in the rat race, bro. Your corporate life, you're 9 to 5, but you work 9 to 9. Like, think about this for a second. 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you never get to switch off. And some people push back on this and they said, well, I'd rather work 9 to 9 than 9 to 5, right? And have some more freedom. But let's look at 9 to 9 real quick. I'm talking 9 a.m., not to 9 p.m. What am I talking about? I'm talking 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 9 a.m., right? Everything's on fire, can't make payroll, don't know how you're going to put presents under the tree. Like, we're just coming into 2024. You don't even have time to set a resolution because you're too busy worried about your entire team. Like, everything that you do is to get this thing to make sense for you. And you've literally built a prison when you set out to build freedom. And the crazy thing is you hold the key in your right hand right now as you listen to this. You had the key to unlock this thing, but you're not doing it. And it's not your fault. And that's, I think, where most of these masterminds are getting it wrong. Most people don't realize they think the key to freedom, or the key to get from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 figures, or the key to the next level, is in some framework or some new script or funnel or marketing strategy, or this guy on stage did it, I just need to do what he did. No, you need to become who he is. That's the difference. The number one question we ask when you walk in is who, not how. So next time you see, and we've got some killer speakers, when you see killer speakers jump on my stage, don't wait for them to give you the step-by-step granular details on how they got from A to B. Stop asking how did they get there and ask, who is this dude? Who's Nick Hyder at his core? Who is Nick Alfano at his core? Because success leaves clues. And most of you guys are looking for a to-do list, and you need to start writing out a to-be list. And that's what we do differently here. I promise by the time you leave here, you will have a set of core principles. And here's the thing. It's called the program. And we reprogram men, but I don't write your program for you. The reality is, when I say it's not your fault that you're holding the right key, but you're looking for the key everywhere else but your right hand, the reason it's not your fault is because your program was written from age 0 to 7. You had zero control over that program. There's 20,000 dudes listening to this right now, coming across this camera, looking in my eyes, and you are literally have 20,000 different stories on how to process this message right now. And you don't even realize it because your subconscious, which is your program, is telling you how to receive this information. Some of you are triggered. Some of you are relating to this. Some of you are like, you know what? He's talking about me. I get it. Some of you don't want to hear this and you want to turn off right now because the truth is frightening. The truth is the answer is not outside. The answer is right here. And 90% of the time, it's sitting right here in your hand. And I will show you how to write a program that actually serves the life that you say that you want. Because most of you think 7 figures is the answer. 8 figures is the answer. When I make the money, then. But what if you actually took care of some other areas of your life? Where are you at with your faith? Faith in God. Faith in yourself, belief in self. What's the talk track going on in your head right now as you listen to this? What's the talk track? Oh, that's not me. That's not me. I don't need this. I don't need truth. I don't need to be reprogrammed. I just need the next hack. I need the next blueprint. Are you kidding me? Like, the way you're processing this data is your subconscious, which was written for you, again, from age 0 to 7 by your parents, by the school system, by your religion, right? Again, none of these people meant you any harm, but they didn't know what they didn't know. And so now you don't know what you don't know. And we will expose so much in 2 days that you cannot go home the same, and you will go home a completely different version of yourself. And I promise you, you will come up to me and you will say, Nick, you changed my life. That's my rant. I'm going nuts right now.
Dude, that was freaking...
I get worked up about this stuff. It's my passion, man. It's my
awesome.
calling.
It was awesome. But dude, like, you know, I talked to I don't remember who it was. It was probably Brad. You know, that when we first started talking, we were talking about people's limits and how people will literally fight and defend for all the reasons that they're coming up short in anything. There's always a blame on something, a circumstance or whatever it may be. And like, you know, there's two types of people out there that when the bump in the road or the mountain's laying in front of you, you know, you turn around and you go back, or you figure out how to climb that sucker and get to the other side, you know. But regardless, there's only one path to the other side. And if you turn around and go back, you're always going to end up in the same place that you're at right now and today. And it's you know, you can look on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or anything, and it's all the people that are making fun of the gyms about how on January 1st they go to the gym and they can't get in because it's so crowded and all that kind of stuff. It's like, dude, like,
I can tell you right now, if you waited till January 1 to start your resolution, you've already lost. Because you thought about this a week before, 2 weeks before, on Christmas Day, maybe on Thanksgiving. You thought about it and you said, you know what? New year, new me. Come January 1, I'm going to do some shit. I'm going to change something.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to try not to cuss anybody.
It's okay.
All that to say, like, to me, the minute you had that thought in your head and then you pushed it to January 1, you just negotiated with yourself. And every time you negotiate with yourself, you lower the standard. And every time you lower the standard, you set a new standard for yourself. So to me, it's not supposed to make sense. You're supposed to do the stuff when no one else wants to do the stuff. Because if you can't grow when things are rough through adversity, like to your point, the mountain or the bump in the road, everything that you want is on the other side of the stuff that you're not willing to do. It's on the other side of hard. And most of us aren't willing to do hard. Let's wait till January 1 because that's what you're supposed to do. No, you do it when it makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't start my diet right now, Nick. We got people coming over for the holidays. We break bread. We do alcohol at midnight. We toast. Cool. Then you don't want it. Let me ask you this question right here, my man. All these things that you're saying right now, are you interested or are you committed?
That's right.
There's a huge difference. And most of you aren't ready to cross the line to committed. You're interested. And what would it look like to get my money right this year in 24? What would it look like to get in the best shape of my life in 2024? I'm kind of interested in that. I don't have time for you. I'm going to show you what the difference is. I'm going to show you what committed looks like, because the thing is, it's not even that hard.
Right.
It's just it's just a click. It's a paradigm shift. It's a small little change in the way that you operate. The way you see yourself is where it starts. That changes the way you show up for the rest of this world. And this is my favorite. I have two phrases that my guys chant. They will tell you 10,000 times a day. That's not even a false number. This is the new talk track in all my guys' heads. I have to cuss one more time. It's show up different and do hard shit. That's it. SUDDHS. It's like stamped everywhere on all our logos and everywhere. If you just learn how to show up different as a different version than you were last time, and don't wait till January 1, you lost, and then do hard shit, it kind of creates a loop, because when you do hard stuff, we'll say stuff on the podcast, here we go. When you do hard stuff, you have no choice but to show up different. Because it takes a different version of you to show up and do the thing that you didn't want to do, to get out of bed when it's 4 a.m. and it's 30 degrees outside like we've had in Nashville lately. I don't want to get out of bed. It's cozy right here. Cool. Just negotiated with myself. I lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more. You've seen where my son and I and even my wife work out in our garage.
I love it.
It ain't nothing special, and that's on purpose.
Yep.
It's raw. Like, you know what I mean? It's nothing nice. It's not climate controlled either.
Yep.
And let me tell you, dude, it's the worst. I despise working out there the most this time of year, because I do not like cold weather, especially every year I get older and older and it takes longer to get going. But like, that's when I love it the most, is when I hate it the most. Like, it's literally a love-hate relationship, but it's a love-love relationship. And because like once I'm in it, it's like, dude, I'm freaking unstoppable right now. You know what I mean? And then when I'm done, I feel like I can just go out and do anything. It's why it's so important. Like literally this morning, it was cold getting in my 3 miles this morning.
Yep.
It sucked. And and usually I can distract myself with returning some phone calls, handling some business while I'm out there. There was nobody to talk to today.
Yeah.
It was just me out there. And you know what I did? So I ended up, I talked to God the whole time.
There it is.
It was a great time to catch up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
And
so what's interesting about that, by the way, is like you talked about how good it feels. We call it playing dominoes. Like, we have a series of 8 things that we show our guys, because again, success leaves clues. And anybody you've ever looked up to has a series of daily disciplines that they are married to. They're non-negotiables. And really, it's about stacking early wins, because when you stack early wins and we knock over 8 dominoes every morning before we start our day, like, the way that you show up for the rest of this world and for yourself, because you, like, to your point, you just feel you want to build self-confidence overnight, stack some small wins and cheat code those things. People don't understand something as simple as making your bed or laying out your gym clothes in the night before. Those 2 quick wins.
Yeah.
2 quick wins before you even got started. And that just puts a cycle in motion of winning. And then you just keep winning all day.
That's
and
right.
again, you could set yourself up for success and you can drop 8 dominoes before 7 a.m. No one else even got out of bed yet. You've got 8 wins under your belt. How does that guy attack the day? You know what I mean? How does he show up for his wife and his kids?
That's right. I don't remember what I was watching the other night. And it just kind of dawned on me that, like, you know, I'm pretty sure I was watching something with Coach Prime in it, but I got a little note here that I sent to myself, and it says, winners build a life around what it takes to win. Right. So, and I asked myself in a question, what do you build your life around? You know, you could say the same thing about your marketing, your branding, you know, your family life, everything around. Winners build a life around whatever it is that it takes to win. Yep. And there's an old saying that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And let me tell you how that quote really like came into fruition a decade after I first heard it. Right? I thought I was living it out. And I'm going to use my fitness as an example because my faith, my fitness, and my finance and my family all came together around this one thing, around this message, right? So every year, as a professional athlete, I looked a certain way, and I was really proud of the work that I put in and the way and the cosmetic effect that what I saw in the mirror. And after college sports, you know, I gained slowly. I gained 50 pounds. And I slowly lost 50 pounds. But it was 2023 when, like, up until that point, I had always set a goal, a destination for my fitness. And I got to a place where probably like 80% there. And I was like, good enough. Yep. Right? Well, you know what? I was doing that with my faith. I was doing that with my family and my finance. Ooh. And I used my fitness as a way to push through that, to get to 81% to the 100%. And I achieved it in 2023. Yeah. And I'm leveling up and doing it again in 2024, a new destination. But like when I was able to push through and that commitment, like I was only 80% committed in life. And when I finally found that other gear where I had quit, where I had stopped. I didn't finish, I had quit, and I got that extra 20% and I accomplished in fitness what I wanted. I looked around and my faith was there.
How do I translate this everywhere? Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yep. Because
and that was a huge thing.
Yeah. One of the most popular questions we ask is, where else is this showing up in your life? So when a guy gets stuck somewhere, it's 100%, again, a pattern, a loop that's on repeat in his subconscious, and he doesn't understand. So for you, it was, I set targets. I'm really good at them. They're clearly defined. I get 80% there. My 80% is like way ahead of most people. So I tell myself, you know what? This is pretty good, right? And then I slowly slide back, and then I go hard and I go to 80 again. I say, okay, this is pretty good. Now that pattern, that behavior is a subconscious pattern, and it's showing up everywhere. And to your point, when you learn the power of that, then you get to say, awesome, because there's some other areas of my life where I have some deficiencies. You know, some people use the excuse, I'm in a season right now. I'm in a season, man. I'm in a season of, I got to get my money right. I'm in that season. So I got to, you know, I'm not really showing up for my wife or my babies, or I'm not, you know, I don't got time for the gym. I'm trying to do, you know how much, I'm trying to triple my revenue in 24. Nick, okay, cool, dude. What if you could do all of them? And what if that's actually the purpose of this whole game is to win in every single domain, all 4, like you just spoke about. That's right. Faith, family, fitness, and then talk about finance. Because when you get those other 3 houses in order, it's a wrap. It always is, every single time. Yeah. We're beyond proof of concept phase. I can prove to any man on the planet Earth, come hang out, get these 3 ducks in a row, and the money just comes every single time. That's right. So
check this out. This is from my boy John Mediana, who is somebody that has changed the game for me, and we're proud to call him a partner here at the Hit Lab. So he posted this a couple days ago, and I loved it. And he's talking about basically like you know, the people that are gonna make content, and this is one of the things I'm really gonna hit hard at your event. You know, talk about the personal branding and how all those, like, dude, that's how you help others. If you're going to go through this journey, document it, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? At worst, your family gets to see it, but like, how many other people do you get to help? And opportunity shows up when you do. But here's what he said. He said, for everyone I've been telling to make content for years and haven't done it, you could have been a contender. You've watched your competitors show up on camera these past few years. Their views started small, but slowly their business grew. They got better on camera. They dialed in their offers. They showed up everywhere. You watched. This is your sign. It's time to get visible in 2024. You can't have another year like the last. Don't let your competition lap you again. Go make content.
Oof.
positive.
So
strong.
this is hitting me live right now as we talk, because I've watched you in 23. I watched you in 22. And I always had a story, and I still am semi-married to this story. And by the way, gentlemen, the stories that you tell yourself are the reasons you're not winning. And when you realize you can write your own story and it's not that difficult, then you can win. But you brought this up way earlier, and I'll come right back to this. Human beings are the only animal on the planet Earth that would rather be right than actually win. And so people stay in this self-perpetuating loop. You've heard it before, self-fulfilling prophecy. And as long as I'm right and it's comfortable, I'm gonna stay in that loop, even though that loop keeps giving me 80%, or that loop keeps giving me an L. Yeah. And I can't figure out how to break this loop, but I love feeling right. It feels so warm and fuzzy. So to your point, the story I was attached to, and you actually helped me pull me out of this. And I'm not perfect. I run a pretty successful coaching program, and I walk guys through their stories all the time. But we all have stories. Like I don't preach from some ivory tower. This is always going to be a game that needs to be played. That being said, I had a story where I hate social media. My daughter ran it for the longest. I can't stand the game. Most of these people are fake. But I also, to your point, was the guy on the sideline saying like, I have a better message than that guy, or that could be said better, or for whatever reason, I just sat there from the sideline as a hater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, if I truly care about impact over income, which is the entire mission, and I want to help as many people as possible, I can't let the game get in the way.
That's right.
And so I can't let the haters that, oh, Nick's not that good in front of camera. Like just when we started this right now, I don't know what to do to match your energy. You know? And now when I get on a roll and I get crazy and hype and passionate, that's flow state. But you're way better on camera than me. You got the reps. You know what I mean?
The reps,
so I sat here for 2 years and just, oh man, like, why does that guy have more of a following than me? I got a more powerful message. Well, because he's doing the work, my man. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, you should probably bring Mediana out with you. Just to be a good homecoming for Vegas. You can,
dude. He's absolutely fantastic. He just gets it. The biggest thing is like, I worked with a lot of branding agencies. So first of all, one thing like I want to point out, because like you've done the work, you've studied, you've had great mentors, you've studied. Like, dude, I've spent half of 7 figures on personal development.
Same.
And growth. And that's so like when people listen to me, they're getting it's a translation, but they're getting the results of all of that time, all of that effort, all of that money, everything spent, all of that.
You're a product of the product.
Absolutely.
And that's what people that's the authenticity piece that you can't fake. Like when you have 500K and you're doing your own deep work on yourself, it just comes through you now. It's who you are. And so like, it's almost like you went out in the world, spent 500K, collected all the data points known to man, and then repackaged them up in a way that's more palatable, more digestible. And you're just spoon feeding people that want to listen.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And that's why you can collapse time for people, and that's what you're doing. And that's
I love working with brand builders because they're always pushing. The person you're most uniquely positioned to help is the person that you used to be, right? So again, I went out and I invested. I got all this product, all this knowledge, and then how did I digest it? What did it do for me? And then I repackage it in my own way and put it out there to help the people that are like me.
Yep.
Right? Because there's 8 billion people. I'd love to hit all 8 billion of them, but I just need a small fraction of those to make a dent.
Sure.
A big old dent too. But so the hard part is, how do I find the people that are most like me, that I'm most uniquely positioned to help? And that's where the branding and the marketing, and you got to be visible. That's where it comes from. And we're really going to work on those things because dude, there's so much noise you talked about earlier. Yeah. And like, I think that's one of the most dangerous things out there is, people will make decisions on production value. They will assume because the guy hired the right company and his stuff looks good online that he's done the work, he's made the investments, or he even knows what he's talking about, or the person, I should say, because there's a lot of powerful women in this space too.
Sure.
So how do you go about trusting, finding the people that can help you the most? And I think that's extremely hard. And I don't have the exact answer for that other than like, dude, you got to do some homework, right? And do you think that people come to these events? One of my biggest beefs with church is people go to church on Sunday because it's what they do on Sundays. Yeah. And just like you said, my wife and I talked about it. One of the things, we work all year long. In the last 2 weeks of the year, we kind of take it easy. We still work out. We still get our lifts in, but we're not strict with our diet. We enjoy, I love the Christmas cookies, when we do all those things. And after it was over this year, I just looked at her and I was like, I think I finally got to the place where it wasn't worth it. I don't want to do it next year.
Yeah.
The way that we do things ain't the way we have to continue to do things. Yeah. We can change it. And it wasn't worth it. It's like, why go through, like, I put on 8 pounds and it was fun, but then it's not fun getting it back off. And I feel like I took 3 steps backwards.
Sure.
And I feel like my momentum, like I lost some of my momentum, and I worked my ass off to get that momentum.
And I think that's a fine line though, because what I don't want to do is stress to anybody listening to this that like you have to be on all the time. Like, you know, there's some grace in there. And if it's an intentional period of time that you've set aside, like throughout your target, that during these 4 or 5 days, I'm going to do X. But then the next step, and you're processing right now, my favorite F word, by the way, and I drop a lot of them, it's feedback. And so what all you're doing right now is you're processing feedback from a place of like, next year, is it worth it? Like, what if I just ate a few less cookies, or what if I only did the cookies on this one day?
Yeah.
And it's just because your priorities have changed, your needs and wants have changed, and there's nothing wrong with it. But to your point, to be at a place where you can process the feedback, where you don't beat yourself up, there's not a lot of shame or guilt, that you're just processing feedback. How do I feel right now, 8 pounds heavier, haven't eaten cookies for 4 or 5 days? At the time, I said I earned it. And you know what? I did earn it. And I deserve to have those times. But I don't like how it feels right now, knowing that it's going to take however long to get it off. So how can I show up different next time?
That's right.
So I don't have this feeling.
That's right.
Was this the worth it part? Is this feeling right now worth the 4 or 5 day binge and the letting off the gas for the holidays? I don't know, right? But just I think that's the only thing you have to do is constantly process feedback. And we call it becoming the observer. Like, hover over yourself,
yeah,
and ask yourself, like, it's a whole thing. I won't get into it, but it's a facts to feelings analysis. What are the facts, and what feelings arise as a result of those facts?
Yeah.
And then, do I like those feelings? Cool. Let's change the facts.
Yeah.
I can change the story right now. You know what I mean?
So, for me, like let's just use the Christmas cookies, for example. Well, that's something that we all did as a family. My mom helped my wife bake the cookies, and we all decorated them together. It was fun. It was a family activity. And that was, at the end of the day, it was what was really worth it. Why the cookies weren't worth it for me this year was on top of the fact that I was like, I felt like I took steps backwards, but like when you eat like that and you're not used to it, I needed an extra hour.
It's hard.
I needed an extra hour of sleep, and I didn't feel as good. I wasn't as active. And you know what, dude? I got a 2-year-old at home right now that is active as all get out and wants me running her all over the house and everything else. I felt like it took away from them.
Yeah.
My son is big into his fitness, and you know what I mean? He even noticed through all the cookies, he was like, I feel like I'm not as cut as I was. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so was it worth it? And he was like, I don't think it was, Dad. So again, when you have to be able to find honesty with yourself.
Sure.
But we are truly figuring out what's actually important to us. And the cookie time was what was important to us. But
not the eating.
That's right. But not eating 40 of them. Sure. To your point, eat 4.
Yeah.
And then stop. I ate 40.
Yeah.
Maybe on
there's some truth for you right
That's
there.
right.
I love that. Yeah.
Maybe on one day.
Yeah.
And I paid for it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I started doing the same. You started to fall back in those old habits. Nick, when we left downtown, I didn't go back for probably a decade, because like I didn't feel like I was mentally strong enough to go back in there. It's like an alcoholic that finally finds they're in a place where they can go back in the bar and be okay.
Yeah.
So, for me, like, guess what? When I ate all the cookies one night, you know what? The next day I did it again, because I was like, what did it? What's one more day?
Yeah.
What's one more day?
It's a slippery slope.
And then it went 4 to 5 days. And for me, I wasn't ready to do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't mentally stable enough to be able to handle that yet. And as silly as that sounds,
it doesn't though. And see, and that's the thing. Like, what if we pull the word silly out? What if it's I noticed about myself from a place of just feedback, right? With no emotions attached, that if I eat 4, it quickly becomes 40. And if I have one day, I give myself permission to have 3 more days until I feel viscerally or physically away. And then I have this horrible habit of like shaming or like even mother effing myself, right? I don't appreciate that behavior.
Yeah.
But now I know I can't, you see what I'm saying? So like, that's like, we have this thing called the feedback loop, and all we do is show guys how to process not only their stories, but the emotions that they attach to the stories, because that's what's holding everybody back. We're talking about all this right now to let you know that like, we're all the same. We all do it. 100%.
Nobody, like, I'm not excluded from it either. And as proud as I am of the 50 pounds and the 380, 86 workouts I did last year or whatever it was, and the streaks and all those things that I'm so proud of, we still battle the same things that no matter where you're at in the journey, the demons are the same. They really don't go away,
And the reality is like, and I would talk to anybody listening to this, is like a lot of us pray for things to get easier, but the reality is you just have to pray to get better, because you can't change the external environment. The cookies are always going to be there. That tradition's not going anywhere. Let's face facts. Next year at this time or Christmas Day, whenever you made them, you're making 4,500 cookies with grandma, and that's an important thing. How are you going to show up? Can you show up different next year so you don't have to have this conversation 4 days later? That's all you can change, right? And so it's really, it's crazy how many people are just, because how about this? What are we in, winter right now? Technically winter? What's next? What's next after winter?
Spring, baby.
What's after spring?
Summer.
Cool. It has been that way. It is going to be that way. And it's you see what I'm saying? And so people are waiting, like they don't want to face the winters. Like, oh, winter don't come. Winter's tough. You know, winter's hard on me. Like there's so many versions of winters, and you can't pray for winter not to come, but you can pray to be ready for winter. You can pray to show up different for winter. The seasons are coming, man.
That's right.
The cookies are coming.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And it's those are just some of the small mind shift changes. And yeah, and people think they can make them, or they listen to something, or they read something and they get a little goosebumps. Like the real, what I call deep work, and this is the difference. And again, I can't stress this enough, between the program and everything else out there. And to your point, I would actually hope that people listening to this have gone to 20 effing masterminds before they come to us, because you'll never experience anything like this. And the reason that it's called the program is we actually show you how to write a program and reprogram your subconscious mind.
Right.
Because consciously you can say, next year I'm not eating the cookies. This year is the year, new me in 24. I'm going to war in 24. I want more in 24. I'm getting jacked, bro. I'm doing all these things. You can scream it till the cows come home. You could put Post-its and affirmations on your mirror and jump up and down naked and yell it every morning. That's the conscious mind at work. You are making a conscious decision to change. If you don't actually reprogram your subconscious mind to get in line with what you're screaming, it will never happen. And the scariest thing about the fact that it doesn't happen is you did all the work. But Nick, I read the book. But Nick, I did the reps. But Nick, I went to see the guy. But Nick, I got the funnel. And this funnel created all this wealth. But when I did the funnel, it didn't do it for me. So then you start to internalize it's a me problem.
That's right.
And then that's where you live in shame and guilt of like, well, the pattern is when people do this type of work, they get these results. I didn't get those results. So now something's wrong with me. That's not the case. You have a subconscious program that you had no control over. And guess why I say 0 to 7? If everyone listen, every 7 years, your body produces a new set of cells. So we were all born with legit hardware. Like we all got a MacBook, right? Clean slate. Cool. But the software that was installed, we had no control over. And now every 7 years, that software just does a cut and paste and it gets re-put on there and re-put on there. And so I'm 42. I've had 6 copies of the same program that was written for me from 0 to 7. We were in poverty. We were on food stamps. I was raised Roman Catholic. I was abused heavily. Like all of these things happened to me. You know, they happened for me. But at the end of the day, if I don't process those things and see how all of those things wrote a program for me, and does some of it serve me? Yeah, we don't teach you to abandon everything.
Yeah.
Like I want you to double down on the feedback loops that are serving you. And then let's pattern interrupt the ones that are not serving you, and let's put a new program in.
Preach.
And it's game over.
That's right. The Hit Streak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more. Going back to the cookies, right? So, and my boy Mariana. Well, dude, one of the things we're doing in 2024 is we're doing a freaking overhaul on my brand and everything that I'm attached to. All right. So guess what that means? That means new color palettes, new brands, new logos, or new brand messaging, or just refined brand messaging, new photos, and all those things. So we're working on a photo shoot. Right, that they wanted to do this week, right? Well, guess what? Dude, your packaging's extremely important.
And your 8 pounds of cookies?
8 pounds of cookies. So now I'm a week behind in 2024 because I made bad decisions over some Christmas cookies. And it's like, dude, people are like, come on, Nick, it's only 8 pounds. You look the same. Dude, it's not the same. I don't feel the same.
No, because if you don't share exactly, that's where you nailed it. You know what's funny? If you mentioned episode 88, I'll tell you listeners to go back begrudgingly because I was almost 250 when we shot that episode. I just come off that little motorcycle accident in the Bahamas. I say motorcycle from ego. It was a moped, but it was 47 miles an hour in some board shorts and flip flops, no helmet. It was a pretty scary thing, but it set me back during summer. And you want to talk about do hard stuff like Halloween. I weighed in Halloween night where I was down on the bottom of the driveway with my wife. We're handing out candy to the kids and I snuck a few pieces of candy and I went and weighed in. I was 244. And usually during the summer, I take it all off and I lean down. It's just like my little cycle. And I was like, you know what? I'm not waiting till New Year's like I'm starting now. So November 1 to now, I lost 28 pounds, you know? So similar story to what you went through. And interestingly enough, like now we're starting to do more content and we're going to do some more photo shoots and we've got some big things planned for 24. But like I go back and look, I filmed a lot of stuff at 250 and I don't even like looking at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
And I totally get where you're coming from. So
it's got, it's the storefront, man. And like, think about it. They literally put like glue and the cheese and stuff on like pizzas and stuff to make it so that the commercial looks, it's the best look. It's best look. Well, guess what? I got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like literally all the stuff that I do to look a certain way, it's got to be dialed in for that date when it's time and ready to go. So I told the guys, I'm like, guys, we're going to push it back one more week.
Yeah.
Right. And now, and I've got to catch up. And then, going back to the cookies again, well, why is it such a big, why was this year the year that I was like, it's not worth it? Because every other year I was leveling up and like, this is just like, so at this year I went back, I weighed myself every day, 365 days in 2023.
Yeah.
And I looked at January 1 of 2023 and I did it again on January 1 of 2024. Yep. And it's like, they're too close. And it's like, and then I know that it took this amount of time to get back to where I was when I started. And it's like, so for me, it's like the next evolution of leveling up. It's like, if I don't do that, well then where, like, how's that going to get me? That's another 10
how I
days.
like to like have visually process this is your old ceiling became your new floor.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And so what was once like, man, I like, right now I'm 216 this morning, right? And I was like, okay, let me get to 205. I haven't seen 199 since high school when I played soccer and all that, right? So when I get to 205, to your point, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I have no idea. I'm 9, 10 pounds away, 11 pounds away. And my goal though is for 205 to I don't want to go over 205 anymore. I'm tired. I'm tired of 245. Yeah, like look scary on stage sometimes. I can lift heavy things, but I'm not functional. I'm sweating right now. I was actually going to ask you, is this part of your 8-pound get down routine? Because I'm like about to take this jacket off. But
when the wife's in the building, she likes it a little bit warmer than normal. Yeah. But it's the same thing. And what I did too is, last year I got leaner than I'd been in since I was a professional athlete. And I noticed that I was like, dude, I felt better. I was more productive. I was better for my kids at home. So it's like, why am I doing things to take me further away from that when like it was hard enough to achieve it? Maintaining it is difficult as well, and that's the next level for me. It's the maintenance part. It's maintaining that level of discipline and commitment because of all the things in the way it affects everybody else that I love and care about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I owe it to them to deliver. You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk a little bit about the proximity of why an event like this is important, because this is something I don't think we touched on the last time that we should have. And I know in an environment of 60 guys, relationships and bonds are built. Business opportunities from the people that come to these events and sit in those seats, those 60 seats in front of that stage, they form bonds and they start working with other guests at your events.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's proximity. And who else would you rather go into business with than somebody that's in a very similar place on an exact same journey of their own, right? And that's why you're here, and that's why we've got along and done and been so fast friends together, is because we're almost like in the same parallel place in our own journey moving forward,
Yeah. So like when you talk about the bonds that happen at this event, I could tell you this, and I'll speak right to the camera. If you've been to an event before, then this will even hit harder. But if you haven't, just understand that you'll be spoiled if this is your first one. You will bleed for the gentleman to your left and your right. There's no event that can say that because you can't bleed for 2,000 dudes. You hardly know their name. They're wearing a name tag. You see them at lunch maybe. You talk mostly bullshit facts because they're all coming from ego about the revenue you're not doing. You just need to fix this one thing, right? You're putting on a facade because it's all surface level. At this event, you will share something you've never shared in your life with a person you've never met. And you will actually, when you leave this event, you will be bonded to that person for the rest of your life. And not just in business. And that's again, where we differ. So like imagine linking arms with somebody who actually has the next 2 steps for you because they've been where you've been and now they are where you want to be. But more importantly, having a connection with them that like, it can't be broken. Like what we do, and I won't get too far into it, but I will say this, 90% of what you're looking for, just go on YouTube. Just turn this off right now. Sorry, I know you got clicks to get higher, but what I'm saying is jump on YouTube because everything that you need, that you think you need, can be found somewhere. All the shit's out there.
Yep.
The problem is you're in your own way. And until you get out of your way, and I can do this in 2 days, I promise you that, nothing's going to change for you. So even things like when all my guys are on stage and they're dropping like massive like bombs of knowledge for you, have you ever been to an event that has curated the vibrational frequency in the room to such a degree to open up your subconscious mind. So you have a 376 uptake in retention from every person on stage. Have you heard of such a thing? Because that's one of the many things that we do. So I can't stress enough like how different this is. No one's doing this. Nobody. Like there's versions and iterations. Like I've been compared. Of course, there's Wake Up Warrior. Garrett White is a huge mentor of mine. There's the list goes on. There's Priscilla, who I love, and I love Milette's one of the best speakers ever. So Arte's got a thing, but nobody is doing what we're doing. And I've had a million people come who have been through Warrior and Arte and what's Hardcore Closer, Stuman's thing, Apex, right? And I love all these guys. The thing is, they're all handing out brilliance from stage.
Yeah.
You're not ready to receive it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. You're not ready to actually take the thing and do the thing because you're self-sabotaging, because you have, you're addicted to affirmation. You're addicted to what other people think. You have worthiness issues, right? I'm unworthy. Like even if you don't want to own that from a place of ego, subconsciously, you're self-sabotaging as a result of your lack of worthiness. There's so many reasons why I can lay down at your feet right now and I'll email anybody. Anybody wants to email after this podcast, I'll give you 7 different 8-figure blueprints. And then I'll let you speak to the guy who executed against them and made 8 figures. So you know they work. And then come see me in a year and be like, hey, Nick, it didn't work. And I'm like, cool, are you ready to listen?
So like conversions are, in my opinion, the difference. And that's why I think it's so cool that you keep it small and intimate.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this in the insurance space when we were recruiting agency owners by the masses. And it was almost like a quantity over quality play in the beginning because we were working on a lot of things. We were figuring a lot of things out. But it truly bothered me that there was always going to be people walking around on the streets that didn't make it. But what bothered me is the people that were walking around on the streets that didn't make it that should have. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, when you go to those 2,000 and 3,000 person events or even bigger, how many people walk around that don't make the reason that they went there, they didn't actually accomplish what their goals were that led them there.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest difference for why I love what you're doing and wanted to be a part of this, especially on this one, is because it's like, I feel like your conversion rates are so much higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel like you almost make it's almost like people have to fight for that spot. You know what I mean? Because there's only 60.
Yeah.
There's only 60. So, what the wait's a 4-letter word, and that's one I don't like to use. So the guys that are waiting to register, well, dude, like what happens when the opportunity's not there? How many times in your life, think about that, guys, did you wait to do something and then when you got ready to make that move, it wasn't there anymore?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it happens all the time. I can tell you that as a teenager, there was a lot of dates that I wanted that I didn't get because I didn't ask in time.
Indecision kills more dreams than no decision, right? And so it's like just to sit there, or the bad decisions, I should say. Sorry. So indecision kills more dreams than bad decisions. And I think that's where guys like, it's rough because it's not supposed to make sense. That's when you jump.
That's right.
So yeah, like you're listening to this, you're like, well, it's 7 weeks away and I don't really know my calendar yet. And so we're just coming off of Valentine's Day and then Easter, St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so I don't really know. Can I travel? First of all, it's $60 to get to Vegas. Vegas is the cheapest city to get to. Here's a new hack if you didn't know it. Why? Because they want you to go there and blow all your money. So I don't care where you live in the US, you can get to Vegas for $60 to $70. Find the ticket. That being said, it's the best time to make the decision when it makes absolutely no sense. Because again, that's that adversity. Can you grow through adversity? Can you make decisions? I call it decision velocity, which I actually got from a gentleman named Russ Perry, who owns Design Pickle. Big things he's done the last few years that I've known him. But he basically was like, look, I'll be on decision 5 before you're still sitting on the fence. You made decision 1. And the beautiful thing about decision 5, even if I took 4 L's, I'm ahead of you.
Yeah.
Because I had the wherewithal, I had the balls, if you want to call it that, just to make a decision. Because if I took an L, it wasn't a loss, it was a lesson.
Yeah. And
I've learned so much with all those data points. I'm on decision 5 in a completely different place, and you're still sitting on the fence. You're done. And to your point, let's just go economics 101, supply and demand. Like the ticket price will go up as we get closer. It's definitely not going to go down. It's not going to go down so we can hoard out. It's going to go up because we know how valuable they are, and there's not that many left.
That's right. Well, dude, and then how many like. Anytime somebody told me this a long time ago, and it's something that I leaned on, especially in my own personal development journey, when you feel like quitting, you got to always remember why you started. And The Rock talks about that a lot, like $7 in his pocket. Like Kevin Hart talks about, he says, man, every day I wake up and I got to go back in time to when I was broke, and I got to feel that. So I get up and go at the same capacity, at the same intensity that I went when I had nothing, now that I have something, because I'm not done. And that's something that that takes work, that takes practice. But there's Kaylee Kozak, when she was a guest, man, that episode was killer. She talked about, she was like, oh, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. Same person. It's there's a fine line between a quitter and a finisher. Yeah. There's a fine line between a victim and a survivor, sure. Right? You could be a victim of your past. Yeah. Go listen to a story, guys. It's nothing like you've ever heard. It's unbelievable. But you're a survivor, yeah. Right? What's the difference in your opinion? You didn't know I was going to ask you this, between a victim and a survivor. And I'm going to look up the actual definitions, but I want to hear Nick Alfano's translation of these.
I'm going to harken back to my favorite F word. Again, if you've heard me speak, I've lost speaking gigs from too many F-bombs, but I've got faith, family, fitness, finance, facts, focus, future, freedom, flow state. I teach on a lot of F words. I think it's your ability to process the situation, which I will call feedback. Again, my favorite F word. So it's your ability to process feedback from a place of non-judgment. And I think that's and you always hear this, life doesn't happen. I think I already said it, right? That life doesn't happen, to you, it happens for you. And that is such a powerful sentence if you really stare at it long enough. Mm-hmm. And to me, that sentence sums up the difference, because we've all been through hard stuff. And if we all sat down and wrote down all the bad things that have ever happened to us, we could all play the victim card. Everybody that's listening to this, everybody in the States and then worldwide, right? Mm-hmm. And the difference between sitting there and writing the word, this happened to me, versus for me, is exactly that, victim versus survivor. Because the survivor will take the mindset that all of these things happen to put me here doing this journal exercise, writing this thing, to put me here on this podcast with Nick Hyder asking me this question. Mm-hmm. Everything that's ever happened to me in my life has landed me right here, right? And so if it happened for me, what feedback can I process? To your point, if I didn't cheat on my wife for that long, if I wasn't homeless, if I haven't built 2 8-figure things, but I don't have a sexy exit because I burnt them to the ground because they lacked integrity, if I don't have all these things happen that people would probably look at and be like, man, this guy's had some shit happen to him, or he's not a good dude, or whatever story they have, then I can't lead that person. You said this earlier too. You're most qualified to lead the person that you used to be. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at all the things that have happened, then you go back and you find people that are having those things happen to them, and you walk them through that. It is your job. It is your obligation. It is your duty as a survivor of that event or that experience or those series of events or experiences to pull people from it, to help them collapse time, to help them sidestep some of those crazy landmines that are coming for them, right? And there's friction I can push back against on that, because I would argue, and this is if we got into a parenting argument, let them go through some of that. Mm-hmm. They need it. Let them experience rough stuff, man. Because
it's coming. I'd rather my kids experience rough under my roof than out there on their own.
As much as you can control it,
because I can help them get back up when they fall down. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep them from falling. I want to be there to help them get up.
Yeah.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com. There was a recent clip where we were talking about how my son, how we're teaching him not just the value of money, but how to earn money and then how to manage his money. Yep. And we do that through some disciplines and chores and his performance on everything that he does. Dude, you ought to hear all the people roasting me like, that's not a happy childhood and so on and so forth. I'm like, maybe not, but it'll be a happy adulthood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And last time I checked, adulthood's a lot longer than childhood.
And I've been around your son and talked to your son, and every time I've ever experienced anything with your son, he's seemed pretty happy to me. So,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see. Where was I going with this? I was going to... I was going to define victim and survivor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So check it out. Here's the definition of victim: a person who is tricked or duped. Okay. All right. That's a victim, a person who is tricked or duped. All right. Now let's look up a survivor and how that works out. A person who copes well with difficulties in their life. If you were tricked or duped, I'd say it was a difficulty in your life.
Yeah.
So basically the difference between a victim and a survivor is how you handle your situation.
Yeah.
And what you do with it.
Because you can't control the situation. You can't control that we're in winter. You can't control the spring's coming, but you can control how you show up for it, how you handle it. All right. So yeah, to your point, like we call it an internal versus external locus of control, meaning if you try to control your external, you're dead in the water. You're done. Yep. Again, these are the people that wish for things to be easier. I wish that person would just get over it, or I wish they would forgive me, or I wish they didn't do those things to me. You know what I mean? Nah, just wish to be better, wish to understand that that person's going to continue to do those things, and you need to make a choice on how it affects you or not.
As I'm sitting here talking about, all the fellas that will go to reprogram.ai right now, and they're going to look at it, and instead of registering and claiming their spot, they're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to think about it for a minute. Yeah. All right. And that's when I want to talk about a little bit about leadership. All right. So again, I love Coach Prime. I love the series, especially season 2 when he went to Colorado on Prime Video, where they're following him around. And one of the things that you hear about Coach Prime with all of his assistant coaches, all the people in his life that he surrounds himself with, they all talk about him like he's their like big brother or a father figure. Yeah. So these are all people that, Coach Prime's worth roughly $50 to $60 million if you go based on how true what's on the internet is.
Sure.
And so he don't have to do any of that. Though he don't have to lead those people. He chose to lead those people. It's a calling, right? And I think when people talk about leaders and leadership, that's where they immediately go. But where I'm going right now is first of all, leaders identify themselves. Okay. They absolutely 100% say, I'm in charge. I'm the leader. Follow me. Right. Well, the first person you got to lead is yourself. So everybody that opened up reprogram.ai, as we talked about it, and did not register, are you leading your own life? Who are you waiting on to make that decision for you?
Oof. No one's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. Yeah. You know what the most powerful word you said was calling? Mm-hmm. Like how about this? If you felt called to listen to the end of this episode, because that's when you're talking about this, and if you felt called to even go to the site, then you should probably ask yourself, what pushed me here? Why is my man upstairs showing me this site? Why is he having me listen so intently and actually take action? And the thing about calling and the thing about Prime, the people that don't have to do what they do, but they show up lights out anyway. If you could write this down, if you're listening and you're not driving or you just want to visualize this word, I have a whole exercise on this, but look at the word calling and what do you see? And I'll tell you what you see. Drop the C and the G right in there in the middle is all in. And I think that's the difference. The guys that like literally make the massive moves and make, like if you want 24 to be different and we're already like into Q1, by the time the event will be 2 months in, if you want 24 and the rest of your life to be different, there's no half stepping.
That's right.
There's no interested, there's just committed. There's no scrolling on the site and saying, maybe later. There's just all in.
Yeah.
There's all in.
Dude, if you're not where you want to be, you probably didn't come to one of your events last year.
100%.
Right? So you're going to change it or not? Yeah. How's that working for you? That's what I love to ask people. When they sit there and they fight for their limits and they tell me all the reasons why which they got to stay where they're at, I'm like, how's that working for you?
And that's why it's always my biggest ask is like, if you're listening to this right now, pull out your phone and drop this note and say, hey, in 90 days, if I haven't changed, reach out to Reprogram and see what's up, right? Just somehow leave a reminder to yourself to check on where you're at. And you can wait a whole year if you want. This is how much I'm not hurting. I live in abundance. I don't care if you don't come join the program for 10 years. Like I want you to every year or every quarter, I want you to reflect on your progress or unfortunately lack thereof. And then just own it. Own your truth. The truth is what I'm doing is not working. What I'm doing is not building the life that I say that I want. And I scream it loud enough, but my actions, everything that's in my life right now, I've called into my life. So if my bank account's if I'm not happy right now when I pull up the Chase account or whatever app on my phone, I called that dollar amount into my life. That's actually what I deserve based on my actions, not on my thoughts. And so the question becomes like, it's this concept of pain, and the pain of change has to outweigh the pain of like where you're at right now, right? Because if for some reason you're stuck in a pit and it hurts so bad, but it doesn't hurt bad enough to actually go out there and press the button and go all in, then you're gonna stay the same.
Failing is hard. Winning is hard. You know, being unhappy is hard.
Yeah.
Being happy is hard.
Everything.
Pick one.
Choose your
Pick a hard.
Baby. Yeah. Choose
That's
your
it.
hard.
Dude, it's all in. And guess what, guys? Like coming to this event, it's not going to solve all your problems, but it's going to identify those problems and give you a path to do it. It's the start, right? But that's the start of the journey. So, I mean, gosh, everybody started school, but most people finish, but some quit.
Yeah.
So when you come to this event, that's just the start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now, prepare yourself now. When you come, it's just the beginning.
Yep.
And I can't think of a better place to be than at the beginning of change, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where all of the best things in life lie, is right there at the beginning of change, the source of change. It's a beautiful thing.
It'll be a pivot. It will be this focal point. That's why I can guarantee it'll be a top 5 core memory. It'll be up there with the birth of your children and the marrying of your wife. It will be a core memory on your deathbed when you're talking about these moments in life where you just made this little, like, small hinges open large doors. And so you made this small change in perspective at this one event, and the trajectory of your life is completely different.
I spoke at one of your events last year, and that was when I was truly blown away. But one of the coolest things about it is, fellas, listen to this. There was 4 decades of people in your audience. There was 40 years of people in your audience. Those people in their 20s and those people in their 50s and 60s. 60. Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. So, because that was one of the first things I did. I looked out there and I was like, my goodness, who am I talking to here? I said, if you're in 20 to 30, raise your hand, and so on and so forth. I was amazed at how it was such there was almost as many people in their 50s as there were in their 20s. Yeah. And that was a beautiful thing. My only question to those guys that were in their 50s, that I say, what advice would you give to those guys in your 20s? And be like, start now.
Now. We have a kid that's 20. We have several in their 20s, like early 20s. And it's interesting to watch them process the data that we're giving them and then have them do the experiences that we assign to them. Because some of these are they're not normal, right? And, so I had a story in my head that this won't land on 20-year-olds. They're like in the millennial mindset, the whatever, like they're just not ready for this message. Yeah. But to watch some of these young 20-year-olds, like the moves that they're making. If I had access to this at 20, I can't imagine where I would be right now.
No kidding. Yeah. No kidding. All right, so we've done this. We spent the hour pumping you up. Now, there's when you hear Nick talk about some of the success stories, the evolutions of some of his guys, he gets choked up almost every single time. And I wanted to that was kind of where I wanted to bring this sucker to a close a little bit, is talk a little bit about some of the guys that have had the biggest sources of change. A couple of stories that really hit home for you, because this is the reason why you do it. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying, folks? He's here to provide for his family and everything else, but it's through the service. The service is priority number one. I can promise you that. And that's the reason that this works and that this is rare, is because not everybody can say that. So Nick, a couple stories about some of the transitions that you've seen.
I get you just thinking about some of these guys, and some of the messages we get, like from their wives or even from their kids. But what's interesting is we started out and part of our marketing message was show them what they want and then give them what they need, because people weren't responding to a lot of the messaging around just change. They wanted to hear the money part. So we would talk about money, get them to the event, and then surprise. And if you don't click the button, I don't know what to tell you, that we don't talk about money at the whole event. It's not the premise, but you will still make more money than you've ever thought. So interestingly enough, we've touted several times on our website and through testimonials, we've got several guys that have moved on to 7 figures. Like we have a guy that started his company when he met me, and he's doing like 40 million in top line revenue 2 years in. So we've created a lot of wealth. But the crazy thing is, like, the guys that I'm most proud of, for example, we had a member recently. He's a piano player, right? He's a pianist, and he's amazing. He's in St. George, Utah. His name is Mark. And he posted a win that someone had bought. He didn't know how to like get his message out there. All he wants to do is share his passion for not only like teaching piano, but just teaching music and the concept of classical music and just opening up kids' eyes, etc. And so I challenged him to create a course. He's been with us not even 5 months, right? I said, well, let's get a course going, and I'm going to show you how to make money in your sleep, and I'm basically how to, monetize your purpose. And not in like an ugly way. Like, again, I can't stress this enough. If you just want like another Ferrari and a bigger house, this is not the container for you. Don't come to the program. That's not what we do. The entire mission is impact over income. I'll help everybody create millions, and I'm very good at it, but you will take those millions and you will help as many people as possible.
That's right.
And I have nice things. You have nice things. Like, right, that's okay. Eventually, it's just things.
That's it.
That's nothing. They don't define you, how you show up, how you make people feel.
The things are just the tools. This is how honestly, man, would I have your attention if you didn't notice me? You know what I'm saying? It's just a tool at the end of the day.
So this young man posted into like our community recently that somebody had paid for his course. And for me, that's a bigger win than the guy that's doing 40 million.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Because he found a way to monetize his passion, his purpose.
Yeah.
And that's very rare. Like, we've got these 5 tools that we harp on, and the 5th one that you don't learn until you've learned the other 4 and master them is this whole concept around purpose mapping. And so if I could have every guy burn down whatever their source of income is now and step fully into what they were ultimately called to do, and provide a quality of life for their family, and then scale it enough to impact this world, that's the end game for me. So when guys walk into my container, some of them are doing real estate, some of them are doing selling something on Amazon, some guys have built a whole call center, some are solar, like they're all over the place. I don't really care what line of work you're in, but we're going to find out real quick what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm going to help you build what I call your bridge to purpose. And I'll never have you burn it to the ground and like forsake your family and not pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you a way. And so for me, the guy that made probably $100 on his course, like, he didn't have a big win yet, but to me, that's a much, much bigger win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to, the team don't know I'm going to do this. Sorry, Ben. No, actually it's cool. But out of those 8 VIPs you got, I'm going to have a special little gift for those 8 people. I'm not going to tell them what it is right now.
Come on.
Right. But I'm going to have a special little gift for those 8. And, since I'm coming there to talk about, one of the things I'm going to be talking about is how, the personal brand and the story and digital marketing and all those things are a big part of this journey of recreation and personal development and everything else and your future self. I'm going to have a little gift for each of those 8.
Nice.
Right. And depending on who they are, I'm probably going to bring one of them as a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, buddy.
You know what I'm saying? So,
This thing's only getting bigger. So
absolutely. So those 8, that time that we get together outside of the event for the VIP experience, I'm going to be paying attention. I know that for dang sure. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, dude, we're going to do something cool for them. Those 8 people will be a good time. I know there's going to be a lot of cameras rolling and a lot of good content. So it'll be fun to package up some things and give some gifts out in the form of that right there.
I love that. And we definitely over deliver there as well with when you say the word content, every picture that gets taken, you'll have access to all the B-roll. Like, I want people to your point, I think it's your duty to tell your story. I think it's a responsibility to tell your story in as many public forums as many times as possible before you leave this earth.
Not one person didn't hear somebody's story and it changed their life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It only changes somebody's life if they hear the story.
Yeah.
Flat out. Well, dude, I'm extremely excited for you, man, and all the people that we're going to help. I'm extremely excited for 2024 and to work with you and everything else we got going on. Folks, check him out on Instagram at the Nick Alfano, on Instagram at Reprogram Everything. Reprogram.ai is the URL to register for the event March 1st and 2nd in Vegas at the Lightspeed headquarters, the home of the real Bradley, right? The Hitstreak is powered by Rack Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, Rack Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out Rack Financial. Nick, any final thoughts as we bring this sucker to a close, man?
Yeah, nothing much. I mean, you hit everything. I can't stress enough that, like, when you feel something and you're listening this long and you're still here and you move to the site, like, that is, it's not even an invitation. It's an obligation at that point to make a decision. Right. And so I can't stress enough. Go all in. I promise you, like this, again, I can promise this 1,000 times. If you don't walk up to me at the end of this event and say that we absolutely changed your life, full refund. I'm not worried about it. No one's doing this in the space because no one's showing you what I'm about to show you for 2 days.
That's
so
right.
Get there March 1st and 2nd, Bradley's Lightspeed headquarters. Hyder and I will be on stage. Bradley will be on stage. Nick Long will be on stage. We're working on another killer guest. And the coaches are actually, you're going to love them as much, if not more, than the speakers, because they're going to facilitate an experience that will, like, again, it will change everything for you. I agree. And I got an ask for everybody listening to this episode today. Whether we're talking to you, but depending on where you're at, there's probably, if you think about it hard enough, there's 3 to 5 people that need to hear this. Share this episode, share this clip, share this footage with somebody that needs to see it and hear it, right? That
could be a great gift to somebody in 2024, and it could change their life.
100%.
It could absolutely do it. So it's like, one of the biggest reasons that digital marketing stuff like this is such a powerful tool is because it gives you something that can easily be shared and touch another person, right? So through these magical things we call devices, you know what I'm saying? So folks, that's my ask to you today is think of 3 to 5 people that are the people that we talked about that you're like, man, like that guy should have been somebody and he's just not yet.
He's stuck. Yeah.
He's stuck.
Yeah.
Share this with them.
Yeah.
And let's get busy together, right? Nick, is there anything else, dude, that I'm so excited for you guys, dude? Like, you've been called this so many times, and I know you freaking hate it, the best kept secret in Nashville,
I knew you were going to say that. I was like,
Absolutely.
it's going to come out at least one time.
Dude, I'm over it.
If someone calls me best kept secret one more time, like, because the reality is if you come and see what we're doing, the amount of people that are rallying behind this thing, like the amount of people that come, like Brad, I mean, I don't want to get into details, but what these guys charge to come and hang out with you, and the fact that 99% of them are coming on their own dime and their own time just to push this movement, like,
yeah,
I can't. I mean, I'm blessed, man. But to your point, the theme for 24 and with your help is my theme for it's always one word, is loud. Like, we have to get loud. We got to get people behind this thing.
Well, dude, there's 9, if not 10 figures worth of value that are going to be talking to each of those 60 people at this event. Yep. It's I'm extremely excited about it. It's my first big keynote of the year in 2024, and I know I've got a lot of work to do planning that sucker, and I've already started writing it, already started thinking about it. I'm pumped, dude. I can't wait to get out there and do it and chop it up.
Deliver value to my people. That's it, man.
Absolutely. Well, folks, come see us in Vegas at the Lightspeed HQ March 1st and 2nd. Go to reprogram.ai to register. Right? Share that link with somebody that needs it. Check out Nick Alfano on Instagram at the Nick Alfano and at Reprogram Everything. Big shout out to my pal, my buddy, my boy, Nick Alfano, for hanging with me again today. Thank you for the time, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
Let's crush, bro.
Yeah, man. 24 it's going to be night and day.
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. Hey, quick shout out to my friends Chris Hine and everybody over at Bond Branded Gear. If you're watching with us today, I get tons of questions about the hoodie that I'm wearing today. Thank you guys for the amazing gear. Chris Hine at Bond Branded Gear. Yeah, dude, we like them a lot, and we're proud of the way those things turned out. Folks, we will see you in Vegas, March 1st and 2nd at the Lightspeed HQ at EV12 with Nick Alfano and the boys, right?
Yeah, buddy. Let's do it.
All right, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.